at the buildings inside the camp. The rest of the buildings, house, the prisoners, were built before the war and belonged to the army people. They were not built for prisoners. And later, the Poland was occupied by Germany. They were used for prisoners. Each of the buildings housed at least 700 prisoners. On the right, behind the fence, you can see the kitchen of the camp with the chimney. The big building on your right, where we met, was built for education and look at the arch. Most of your have to work outside the camp, on farm. They camp. So the buildings on our left were again part of the camp at Auschwitz. And look at the buildings in front of us, the last row, beginning with number 1 on the left to number 10 on the right. They housed women. For 2 years, Auschwitz was the camp for men, but later also for women. Women were the same as nowadays in prisons, kept separately from men. So women in the buildings behind me, men in the ones behind you. There was a wall built to separate the prisoners, but it's gone because later women were also imprisoned in Birkenau, the second camp, and Auschwitz was the camp for men, but of different nationalities from all over occupied Europe. After the camps were liberated by the Soviets, the buildings became hospitals for survivors, and the second camp, Birkenau prison for Germans. 2 years later, 1947, Auschwitz was opened to public. The memorial has been open for over 70 years. And nowadays, the buildings around us are used as libraries, archives, offices of historians, collections, lecture rooms for our students. And the ones we are entering, follow me in, are open as exhibitions, museum, and the last building in the row, number 11, is maintained original inside. And look at the description in front of the block number 10. It says about a German doctor, Karl Lauber, who inside the buildings conducted sterilization experiments on women. I mentioned that after the war, people in Germany were supposed to procreate. Jewish people, Gypsy people, all annihilated. And people of the other nationalities from the occupied Europe, mass sterilization. To stay alive, to work for the Nazis, to become some kind of slaves, but not able to procreate. The doctor inside the buildings injected different kind of chemicals into women's wombs. It led to inflammation and after some time close-up, occlusion of the women's oviducts, but in many cases death of the women, or if not death, the description says about autopsies, that some of the women were murdered for autopsies done in the opposite building. In 1944, Himmler decided to continue the experiments in the camp for women Ravensbrück. So the doctor left Auschwitz with all the equipment, all the tools, all the documents. That's why nothing's left in the block number 10. And you can see the building has not been opened to visitors because nothing's in. But this was the place of experiments on women. But we can enter the next one, number 11. Before I talk about the block number 11, maybe interested what happened to the doctor. So he left to the other camp, continued, and at the end of the war, the camp was liberated by the Soviets. He was arrested, imprisoned in the Soviet Union. A kind of exchange of prisoners between the Soviet Union and Germany. Lauber came back to Germany and continued to work in the private clinic. He never changed his life.
Fucking hell. Look at that barbed wire. Yeah, you wouldn't escape from here very easily. And even if you did, where would you go? It's a pretty grim place.
What's going on about now? You'll be there.
example, 10,000 people during the 5 months were murdered inside the building. Mainly Polish and Russian, but also some Jewish people. The people had to strip naked either in front of the building, a small washroom. The next thing became the washroom is the gas chamber. Once we enter, look up, in the ceiling you will see openings for several beams. It was done to the gas chamber by acid gas to put on the roof of the building. And the next room behind the gas chamber was the crematorium. Later, the big gas chambers in Birkenau took over, and the SS men used the building for different purpose, a bomb shelter, for the German staff from the offices. At the time when the Allies American bombed the industry around, the building was used as a bomb shelter. The second one are testimonies of 3 Sonderkommando men who worked in the building, later Birkenau and Tewal, which is a miracle, because they told me that such prisoners were executed after a few months, but not all. A few were left alive because
So, Auschwitz burkanau. Cigar tower. In distance. These are train tracks. I'll catch up on my tour. Fell behind a little bit. Let's try and catch up. Absolutely massive. It is absolutely freezing, and to think people just have pyjamas on in this weather is, well, it's uncomprehendable, really. fell behind a little bit. Hey guys, I'm at Auschwitz Burkanau. Welcome to the History Man channel. Trying to catch up with my group that's ahead of me, but it's just the size of this place is it's just hard to get your head around. You see it on TV, but to actually be here is something else. It's different. I can't really put it into words actually. It's a proper horror show, that's for sure. But it's an important part of history that mustn't ever be forgotten. This sort of shit can never happen again. It's inhuman what happened in this camp and the first camp as well. Just under 1 million Jews were murdered in this camp. In the first camp, Auschwitz, there's 150,000 Poles. They were the second largest group of people that were murdered in this camp. Gypsies as well. A lot of people perished there. A lot. This camp is I think it's about 5 or 6 times the size of the first camp, and they didn't complete it because the Red Army rolled in and stopped this fucking insane genocide that was going on here. Anyway, I've got to catch up with my group. That has got to be one of the gas chambers that was blown up to hide their crimes. These are the ruins of the gas chambers. Sorry for the heavy breathing, guys, but it is absolutely freezing it. It's snowing. I've had a bit of a cold as well, sorry guys.
There's so much snow that the ruins are not as well visible as usually, but you can see the brick wall of the underground undressing room and the people entering the building on that side. And inside they could see benches, to set hooks for clothing. It looked like a typical undressing room, but I told you that some inside the buildings, more people than in the ramp that on the way became suspicious. And we know about a group of women who inside the room refused to undress. The women were from Warsaw. They were actresses in the Jewish theater before the war. And after the war broke out, the women attempted to escape to America. And at that time, to go to America, they needed to get either to Hamburg or the Netherlands to take a ship transatlantic. And in Germany, the women were arrested. Because we're Jewish, they got to the Bergen-Belsen concentration camp, but to show shame and from the camp to be, and inside the future undress. So the assessment who were in, placed these women, and they undressed, and one of them,
So much snow, you can't really see the ruins that well, but this is the gas chamber. There are the steps where they would have walked down into. Guides just talking about people that were getting suspicious of what was really going on. You know, they weren't really taking a shower, they were being murdered. Heroic stories, but only a few. There's only, I think, a few hundred escapes from this camp, but there wasn't that many successful attempts. But there was a few. Unfortunately, the snow is preventing from seeing the ruins completely as they are, but can't help the weather. Who's singing?
I think a group of Jewish religious boys.
Oh. Sounds nice. What are these structures here? These
Used to be wooden barracks. The wood is gone, I'll tell you why. And the chimneys, the heating system and foundation collapsed.
Okay. I expect in the summer you can see a lot clearer and a lot further. It seems to go on for quite a way.
2 kilometers to the left.
How many? 2.
What is?
It goes 2 kilometres down that way. It's massive. It's way bigger than I thought. It's massive. Does the tourism pay for the upkeep of the? Do the government have to? And that?
So people, no fee for admittance.
Oh right.
People pay for guide.
Oh okay.
And the money goes to the Polish government.
Okay.
And they share the money, they divide the money among such museums in Poland.
Yeah.
Because we have so many visitors that we can share the money.
I'm shocked there's so many in the winter. I thought it'd be a bit quieter, but
And the other museum, like the other camps, Majdanek or Grossrosen or Stutthof, are not visited by that many people.
okay. I was going to go to the one in Gdansk.
Stutthof.
Yeah.
So you'll see it's very quiet. No people, not
It's
many.
quite big. It's the first one, wasn't
It
it?
was the first and the last one. The first open and the last liberated.
Right. I didn't know it was the last liberated. I knew it was the first open one. They opened.
The first liberated.
The
The last liberated.
well, it used to be called Danzig, didn't it?
Yes.
And then it, yeah.
And it was open for Poles who left in Gdańsk.
Yeah.
One day after Poland was invaded by Germany.
There's all Polish prisoners. Yeah. What army?
Because in not only army but even civilians who left in Gdańsk. Because the Gdańsk was the free city. So it didn't belong to Poland, it didn't belong to Germany. It was like ex-territorial. And there were Germans, there were Poles living there. And when Germany invaded Poland, they took Poles from Gdańsk to Stutthof.
I never knew of its existence until a few months ago. I was doing a bit of research. I'll probably visit there in the summer. It's a lot quieter, you say then?
I was there last month and they told me that the guide that the only people visiting Stutthof are tourists who go to spend summertime at the seaside.
Oh, really?
And because like it's raining, yes, and you cannot lie on the beach,
Right.
then they go to sea.
What?
And that's sad.
Yeah, that's not the reason I was
So
going there.
it isn't like
No, this.
as
I've seen
visitors.
pictures. I've seen pictures. Yeah.
But they slowly begin to have educational groups.
Yeah.
School groups from the area of Gdańsk. So they don't have to go to Auschwitz
No.
to see a concentration camp, but
I've got a history website and stuff, so quite interested in it. We're going to go to the Wolf's Lair and just everywhere. Poland's full of history. Not all. A lot of it's sad, but not all. Second World War, very sad. But there's a lot of history from before that, isn't there? There's Polish history. We were in.
Always sad, but also the time before the Great War, the First World War.
Yeah.
Poland was divided among 3 countries.
The
So Polish soldiers were fighting during the First World War in 3 different armies.
right.
Some in the Russian army, some in the Prussian, some in Austrian.
Yeah. You got your independence in 1918.
Buildings, wooden,
Like this one got destroyed
but
already.
wooden, like that ones on the other side.
Oh, me and my friend were wondering what Wawel Castle in occupied Krakow. What was
The
that
residence
used?
of Hans Frank,
Really?
of
The Governor
the
General.
governor,
Yeah.
yes.
I thought he lived in up the.
Warsaw?
Yeah.
No.
No,
So we may
Krakow.
say that Krakow was like the capital of the
Yeah.
general
the-
government.
Yeah. I didn't know that. You learn something new every day. So there, Hans Frank does.
Well, Krakow used to be the capital of Poland,
Did it?
okay, until we had the Swedish king who decided to move to Warsaw because it was closer, because he wanted to start something new,
Yeah.
make big changes. In 1609,
Yeah.
moved to Warsaw. Zygmunt Waza.
Zygmunt Waza. It's a beautiful castle. We're hopefully going to see it tomorrow. Is it shut?
It
What?
was still the place where Polish kings were crowned.
Yeah.
It was still the place where we were buried.
Yeah, I
after
read that.
death, but left in Warsaw. Warsaw became the...
Haven't you got a famous general from World War II buried there as well?
And many others.
Died
There's
in-
a few Sutzkis.
Is that? Yeah, he died in 43, was it?
I don't know which one you mean.
Yeah, he died in suspicious circumstances. I can't remember his name.
Oh, let's go.
He got on it.
It's a bit chilly for that, isn't it?
You say.
Prisoners of the camp at Birkenau sleep either in such a brick, in the brick barracks or wooden. 700 in each of the big ones. On average, 400 people sleep in each of the wooden barracks. And the wooden camps bunks are the same as in Auschwitz. 3 tiny wooden bunks. Here, people sleep on such wooden pallets. 5 on each level, but also on the floor. The people sleep with their heads to us, feet to the walls, on mattresses, and 2 blankets are on each of the pallets for the 5 people. The small rooms for supervisors who are prisoners, who are in charge of the people. There are chimneys Also in the wooden tent you have seen them sticking out from snow, so heating system used if prisoners are provided with any fuel. If they are, it's still difficult to heat the buildings because of lack of cement, lack of insulation. So it's cold in winter, but very hot in summer, and stuff with the windows are not open. In fact, prisoners stay in the barracks all the time. They have to leave the tent and in evening go back. So only at night the people are during the daylight work. This was the barrack to show them. Barracks were left to prisoners separated. As we know, each children went to the factories and some were cutting the tent on the other side. So lots of children also in the other freezer on the other side. All the children is little ones up to 3 years old are over the something such a person that messenger has to go back with the bad news. Your child died. There's no policy in the life. The children ask the police or somebody to treat them. Some of them are arrested for adoption.
5 people in just one of these little areas. 5. And people had to sleep on the floor. Oh my god. You just can't get your head around it really. You see it in the movies, but